hello. Welcome, folks of Cannon Keys. How is everybody doing today? We are. I am Chewwy, and this is above me is Upas, our fearless leader, and we are doing a pretty cool stream today. I think there's a bit of a delay, so if the chat does not move as fast, apologies on that. So if we get back to you a little later than what you might be used to on Twitch, apologies, but we decided to do this on YouTube, just to try something a little different, and in hopes to create more content through YouTube in the coming months and years to come. So if you guys don't know me, I am Chewwy. I'm one half of Mechs on Deck. I'm also fully employed by Upas and Cannon Keys and the customer support team. So if you have anything you need customer support wise, there's a very good chance that I will deal with it. And the man who needs no introduction, Upas.
Hey, I'm Upas. I guess yeah, I'm excited for this. Chewwy has a lot of streaming experience, which we do not. So, very happy to have him on board, and excited to get this thing started.
Yeah, so should be fun. So today, if you're someone who's been in the hobby for a long time, happy to chill and happy to hang out and just enjoy a good keyboard stream. And if you're relatively new, this is geared towards the people that maybe don't know how to build a Bakeneko or maybe on the fence. And I'm here to show you that it's actually very easy to build a Bakeneko60. There's some tricky parts. There are absolutely a few parts that are a little harder to handle. But I'm going to be showing you from the ground up. I've opened everything except the PCB, but this is, for the most part, how your experience will be. But yeah, so you get in the Bakeneko as $130 before shipping and tax. If tax applies to you, you get a nice soft carrying case. Probably can't throw this off the top of a building, but I wouldn't suggest that regardless. But definitely going to keep it safe in all your day-to-day. Whoop. Pro stream. So I did open these are the Mizu Minks from Gatoron. We're not going to be lubing these today. We might do that on a separate video, or I might this is kind of a test. If this works and we like it and you guys like it and you want to see more, we will do more, absolutely. And one of those is definitely going to be a video walkthrough of lubing. I'll be honest, I'm not excited for that video because looping is a bit of a hassle, but it is incredibly important and one of the more important parts of kind of making your keyboard your own. And that's the whole part of mechanical keyboards, is making your keyboard your own. Upas is here, and we will be fielding any and all questions. I'm going to kind of open this up and explain what everything is for. If you are brand new to keyboards and you have questions, if you are well in the hobby and you have questions, please ask away. Hit @Cannon Keys. It makes it a little easier for us to find them in the chat, and we will answer to the best of our abilities. So, but in the bag, you get some cherry clip-in stabs, very vital. You've got your switches. You have your PCB, which we will look at more in depth in just a moment. We have our plate. This is an FR4 plate. If you are unaware, FR4 is the same material as what PCBs are made out of. So a little bit flexible, but not as flexible as like a polycarb. And I don't actually know what the FR4 stands for. I believe it's fire rating 4.
I think you're right. I think it is something like about fire resistance or fire rating.
It's a weird fire resistance stat than the actual. I'm sure the name is ridiculously long. So we have our O-ring, that is the mounting system, which I will go into in much more depth when we get there. So we have our screws and our bump-ons, or rubber feet. The screws are going to be for the Daughterboard. The rest of the board is pretty much screwless. We have some lube, and that's going to be for our stabs. We have, you will not, so if you order them, you won't get the lube brushes. You would have to order those separately. But we do have, Keycaps does have some lube brushes. I haven't actually tried these, but they've got that ergonomic little pinch design to them that I like.
It's like a little triangle.
Little triangle, nice. Just makes it a little easy. You remember those like rubber pencil grips, like from way back in the day? So we have our
yeah, right? That's great.
Our Daughterboard and our JST. Now this is the most fragile part of the build. Do not yank at this, pull at this, and be as careful as you can with this, because this is arguably the most important part to the functioning, to your keyboard functioning, and just make sure to be very careful with it, along with the Daughterboard. And then we will reveal the board itself.
Dude, what color is it?
I don't actually remember what color it is. I think this is whitish.
Yep, that looks like whitish.
Whitish. So let me get this out so it doesn't blend. So there we go. You can sort of see the Canon Keys logo there. Finish, very great. It's a painted finish. So the internals here, it might look a little goofy, but again, you're not going to see this when built. So you might see like there's a little scratch right here. That's once the keyboards and the keycaps go over it, all that's going to be hidden. So you don't have to worry about the inside and how that looks. So especially, this board is an amazing value. And so some of this paint, while it may look concerning right at the beginning, just know that, you're only, from the top down view, you're only going to be seeing just this white rim on the outside.
It's really only the outside that matters.
Yes.
Just a few questions came in. I think CNC Bakeneko60, that's a solid maybe. We don't really have any plans right now, but if enough people ask and there seems to be demand, I think we'll do it. A better set of stabs included with the Bakeneko kits. So we actually really like cherry clip-ins. My personal opinion's always been like, cherry clip-ins, as long as you clip and lube them, are like a top tier stab. So I think, those are here to stay. One thing that we do is we swap out like the longer cherry wire with one of our own black wires. It just seems that our black wires come a little bit straighter from, when we ship them. So the one that's most important, I think, we try to make sure that that's really, really high quality. So probably not going to change the type of stabs, but at least, we're throwing in some of those black wires. And then about plate options for the board. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something we should consider as well. I know right now we only offer FR4, but if it's something that you think you'd like, just let us know and we'll think about it.
Absolutely. So real quick on the PCB, what I'm going to do first and foremost, and actually the one thing that this is more of a personal opinion of mine, the absolute first thing I think you should do is you get these rubber feet, and don't be alarmed. It looks like just a black strip of rubber. But if you bend them and fold them in half, you can see it reveals the rubber feet. And I just think it is important to go ahead, and the first thing you do is install the rubber feet. They can be a little tricky to get out, but once you get those installed, you at least know that you can kind of set your board to the side and not have to worry about damaging the bottom side of the board, of the case. And then the next step in the process that everyone should do is test the PCB. So I will be testing it here in just a moment once I get I said, it is a little tricky, but I promise they're there. I think I've seen one where it wasn't, but they're a little goofy, but I promise you get 4. They're all right there, and now you can set your board off to the side for the build. And then the PCB. Testing this PCB is a little tricky because you can't just plug a USB cable directly into it. You have to get the Daughterboard out. So we will get to some of your questions in just a moment once I get the testing started. So what you want to do is match up these pins. Here, let me zoom in. So you've got these pins right here, and these are going to go into the top. So you'll see they're leaning on one side, and you want to apply even pressure and slowly insert them in. And because it's a vital part of this, because if you do it too quick, you can bend a pin and it can be very tricky to fix because you're working with very small pieces. And again, I like to lay it flat, line it up, and then I just use my fingernails on the edges. This one's a little trickier to do because you have to kind of work around the PCB. Equal amount of pressure in. So there you go. Hopefully that was on camera. I think that was like 99% on camera.
You got it. It was there.
And then...
But yeah, I mean, this part, like, if you feel any resistance when you're trying to push it in, or like it isn't going in smoothly, like, it's always best to kind of just take it out, make sure the pins are straight, and then try again. Because like Chewwy was saying, the last thing you want is to bend any of those things inside.
So, and then what we are going to do is we're going to take some tweezers, and we're going to open up. I recommend the program EK Switch Hitter. It is a great program, so we'll go over to this screen. And so what this does is when you put the 2 pins in, and I'll show off the actual putting of the pins in real quick. You just want to tap the metal parts, and this isn't, I don't know, this, you can also test it on the back. Yep, all right. So easy to test on the back. You can do it on the front. Typically with a PCB that's solderable, it's easier to do on the front, so you're not messing with any of the components. On the back here, what you can do is just touch these 2 metal parts of the hot swap socket, and that will work. And let me show you on the other screen. Whenever you press it, it will light up. Well, as long as you are clicked in the window and you press it, it will light up. So what you want to do is go through each one of these, and if it shows up green, then you are good to go. And we can answer a few more questions while I do this.
So we got a question about the type of the case. This is an aluminum case. It's not a CNC'd aluminum case, though. It's a cast aluminum case, and the finish is actually a powder coat. So it's like a paint that's powder coated on. Got a question about wind keyless options. For the Bakeneko, it's a single cast piece of metal. So for this particular keyboard, it would be tough to do wind keyless. Typically with wind keyless boards, you have like a top and a bottom, and the top part has all the blockers. There's some ways you could get it to work with a Bakeneko style board, but we probably won't. But you can never say never. It's not in the plans right now, but we could potentially do it in the future. Again, it just depends on how many people want it or need it. Plans on SAT 75 round 3.
I figured that was going to come up.
Yeah, I figured as well. No plans at the moment, but as soon as we know, we'll let everybody know and announce it. So, no, can't say it's coming, can't say it's not. We really don't know. We don't have any plans yet. But if we do make plans, we'll be sure to let everybody know.
We will shout it from the rooftops.
Oh yeah, we definitely will. possibility of more Kirigama sublegend keycaps. I'm guessing that's supposed to be hiragana. Yes, we will have more hiragana sublegend keycaps. Obligatory plug. We have a new set coming out soon called Nice PBT Shinbun. I think some folks might have shown it off on stream already, and yeah, that one's cool. I like it. I don't think I have a set on hand, unfortunately. I don't think Chewy, do you have one on hand? I don't know.
No, I'm not.
Not that one. Yeah.
Not that one.
Unfortunately, we can't show it off. Maybe we can show off some other things later. But Shinbun is coming, and that one's a pretty cool one. Dude, more questions just streaming in. This is great. I noticed you just finished testing the PCB though, so why don't we pause here and then I can.
So real quick, you'll notice the menu key did not come up. That's because it's a function key. Typically that's going to be a key that you press down and then you press something else. So the best way to test that later is when you put in a key, type the F row and it'll pop up on or type the menu key or the function key and then one of your number row keys, and that number should correspond with the F row, and that's how you are going to test that it is functioning properly. And then so let's go back to the main screen. And then here, honestly, it's best to just remove this so it gets out of the way and keep it somewhere safely out of the way. So I'm going to we're going to pull these stabs apart. I think they kind of come already apart. And then you know what? I'm going to lay this down so we have a little more transparency, because we are going to be modifying these stabs. We have 5 sets of stabs that we're going to be lubing for this. So for the ANSI setup, for the hot swap setup, you do need all 5 sets. And this is another part that maybe people get a little nervous on or potentially worried about how to do it. Very, very simple. When you look at these sliders, come on, stop, there we go. You see a piece sticking out right here. This little piece sticking out. And you'll see another one that's like catty corner to it. All right, and they have little plastic tips that stick out towards the PCB. Come on. And so what you're doing is you're going to take flush cutters or wire cutters, and you're going to cut as close as you can to get that. So let me hold the one I just cut up next to one that I didn't. You see how it kind of sticks out some? You're trying to remove that entirely. And what that's going to do is prevent the stab from touching your PCB. And while some people may say, oh, it's to protect the PCB, honestly, a lot of it is. It's just extra noise coming from the stab that most of us would say is not necessary and something you don't really want happening. So I'm going to clip these and we can answer another question.
All right. Any plans to add a stepped caps lock? So this is probably for the hot swap version of the PCB, because the solderable version does have step caps lock already. That's actually a really good idea. We'll look into it and see if it's possible. I think maybe there may be a way you can do like a hybrid hot swap socket thing, so you support both. But I think one of the issues with that is one of the sockets will have to be flipped, and if the socket's flipped, it might have a bit of row 3 interference with some cherry profile caps. But it may still be worth it for us to implement. People use OEM caps, SA caps, all sorts of different profiles, CXA caps. So
CXA.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something we could do. And then another question: will you both be at the Canon Keys meetup in August? Yes, we will both be there. It's going to be really fun. We're really excited for it. We're still trying to get all the plans finalized and put everything together. Like, we're well on our way, but there's still quite a bit to do. But overall, we're just really excited for it, and we hope others are excited for it too. And hopefully we'll be able to meet some of the folks who buy our keyboards and just enjoy keyboards just like we do.
And please come say hello. Don't be afraid. Walk right up to us and be like, hey, Hello. Let's talk keyboards. I will talk your ear off about keyboards. So once we get these flush, so we can go probably do one more question if we've got one.
If we have any more questions. Oh yeah, how do you manage your LEDs through VIA?
Here. You know what? Stick around. I have a full. I'm going to be going in detail on how VIA works with this in a little bit. Although I don't think this doesn't have LEDs, but I will plug in something that does. I think I have an ANSI laying. I have a lot of ANSI PCBs.
Lots of those ANSI PCBs.
Those ANSI PCBs just laying around, man. So lubing, another one of the parts of a keyboard, build that some people are afraid to do, and I'm here to tell you it is not that difficult. So we're going to get our handy dandy lube brush. Highly recommend you grab a couple of these. They last a hot minute if you take care of them. I've grabbed two, not trying to just be like a salesman here, but like honestly, it's good to have a backup because sometimes you want to switch lubes as well, and use multiple different lubes for lubing your switches. So what we're going to do though is we're going to get just a little bit of lube, and so you've got two sides to this. If it'll focus, there we go. You've got two sides to this that you're going to be lubing. You're going to be lubing this flat side. Avoid anything right here. So you're going to lube both these flat sides. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to smoothen out any plastic on plastic contact. The more lube you use, the thicker lube you use, the more resistance you will get. But the heavier spring you use, you might want to be pretty conservative on a 55 gram switch. But if you're, someone crazy like me who enjoys those 78s to 80s to 100s, have fun. So, and then on the inside, you're going to be using just about the same amount. And all you're doing is, come on, there we go.
Focus.
It does not like focusing on tiny parts. We're just lubing the inside. And we're kind of painting it on until it's a nice even coat on both sides.
And Chewwy, are you using Krytox?
So yeah, I believe this is actually 3203 is what I was sent. I would recommend 3204 or 205 grade 0. 205 grade 0 is kind of the standard. This is going to be a little bit thinner for a lube job. I still think it's achievable. Now I'm someone that uses 206 grade 2, which is much thicker, but I use heavier springs. But I would probably recommend 205 grade 0 on most stabs. That's kind of the industry standard. And then the one thing you want to look for, you have a side on this that has a box, and you have a side that has more of like a hole. So the box side, the one that has more of a square, that's going to line up with the larger piece where the wire goes. So you can see where the wire would go. That box is going to line up when you insert it from the back. So I will do the rest of this on camera. But yeah, very, very simple. There are other options that you can go for in terms of lube. Way back in the day, we used dielectric grease. I don't know if you ever did that, but
I still use dielectric grease on my wires sometimes. I know there's a lot of different stab lubes out there, but yeah, for me, I don't know. Was there one called Super Lube? I feel like I used
Super Lube was used for a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, now I typically use Krytox 205 grade 0 on everything, and then sometimes dielectric grease on the wires. Yeah. Fun fact though, I don't know if you even know this, Chewy, but I've been experimenting with a bunch of different stab wire lubes, and I think I found one that's pretty good.
Ooh.
And it might be coming to Cannon Key soon. So more info
Hype.
on that. We have more info. Yeah.
The important part to know about all of this is while I am showing you how I do it, right? There is no right, as long as the key functions, there is no right or wrong way to do it. I have seen very expensive builds with super hard to find keycaps and all brass cases completely ruined by a terrible stabilizer job on the board. I have felt keyboards that I think maybe total $40 in total feel amazing to type on because the stab job was very, very good. The important part, and honestly what you can do, and this is a great part about the Bakeneko, is a hot swap build. Try and try again. Try until you find what works for you. If someone comes up, if you like your stab job, that's all that matters. If someone else doesn't like it, then whatever. And I know that kind of contradicts what I said, but I think it is important to make the keyboard for you because as long as you are the one using it, it should not matter what other people say. But also, be critical of yourself. You know, always be pushing yourself to build a better keyboard. If you want to truly improve, you know, try and try again. Try multiple ways. If one way works out for you, try something different and see if that is better or worse. And if it's worse, boom, go back to the original.
A couple questions. XHT BDZ incoming. No, actually, our stab wire lube is not XHT BDZ. You know, again, if there's enough demand, we might stock it. But my personal take is kind of like XHT BDZ. It works, but it's really expensive for stab wires. So we're looking for something a little bit more affordable, but also does a great job. And then someone else asked, is it okay to use Tribosis 3204 for stabs? Yes, absolutely. You know, Crytox 205 grade 0, Tribosis 3204. Some people like Chewy uses 206 grade 2, which is thick. They all work, right? But the one thing I would say is, for me at least, like one of the most impactful things you can do to your keyboard build is lubing the stabs. Like that's for me what takes it from like something that feels more OEM stock like to like way more custom. So I would encourage you to kind of experiment around and you know, try different methods of lubing your stabs, see what you like, and yeah, then you can kind of tune your feel to your preferences. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? You want to make a keyboard that you like, not necessarily anybody else. So.
Yep. And because I'll explain this, I have my very good close friend and co-showrunner of Mechs on Deck, Osiris. He and I have talked about stab lube quite a bit, and you know, there's kind of two philosophies that we both take that are very different, which is if some people want their stabs to feel exactly like every other key, and that's good, that's fine, that's what you want, perfect. And some people, like me, want the stab to feel different because they want it as smooth as possible, and that's me. I don't mind it feeling different because I know it's the space bar, I know it's the shift key. I'm not trying to make it feel like something different when it's not different. But both takes are great, and if you want something to feel very smooth and you're okay with it feeling different from the rest of the board, maybe try thicker lubes, maybe try more lube. If you want something to feel just like a normal switch, thinner lubes or just a very small amount of thicker lubes. And the other thing too is if you immediately start typing on it and you're like, man, it's like so close to perfect, just know there is a good chance that the lube needs to settle. So it might be a couple days of typing on it before everything really wraps up and starts feeling great.
a lot of the times too, like I'll finish lubing a stab and I'll be like, oh man, it feels kind of sluggish, right? Like, oh, did I over lube? But after using it for a couple days, it kind of the lube settles on the stab and then it feels much better. So you know, it can happen kind of both ways. Like sometimes you'll do it and be like, oh, I definitely used too much lube, and then it'll kind of fix itself after some time. And then sometimes you'll lube the stab, be like, oh, this is perfect. And then like 2 days later, you're like, actually, I probably should have used a little bit more.
Yep.
And go in and have to fix it. So.
Think of it. I like to think of it as like wearing a new pair of shoes. Like, yeah, they're gonna be stiff, but they need to break in some. You know, I've got a pair of nice leather boots, and it took a minute to get those broken in, but they, you know, I usually err on the side of over lubing to begin with. It's tricky. We might go over in another video if you guys would like. Of like, you know, after the build is done, the tweaks you can make, because they are significantly harder once the build is, especially when they're soldered in.
Oh yeah.
So, so now what we're going to be doing is lubing the wire. So some people just dunk it in. I'm not a big fan of dunking it in. But what we are doing is we are lubing the parts of the wire that touch the plastic. And you just kind of lube all around it. Some people, when they dunk it and they just put it right in, it works. It can be a little messy. With a thinner lube, I am applying quite a bit, but trust me when I say it will be worth it, because
I'm definitely a dunker.
What?
I dunk.
You're a dunker?
Oh yeah.
I've been using BDZ for a minute.
Oh yeah.
And I fucking pile that shit on there. It's the sky's the limit. Apologies for the expletive. I told Andrew I would watch my mouth, and I didn't. All right. And then when you insert it, there's a hole in the stem that you want to aim for, and then you just clip it into place. And you can set that aside for now as we get to the rest of them. So
now's a good time for a few more questions. We got one about Bakeneko60 restocks. Basically, we restock Bakenekos whenever we get more in. So our hope is that we can keep them in stock for all the time. But you know, based on how long they take to make, how long sea shipping might take, sometimes we run out of stock. But if it's out, we are gonna bring it back. And if that changes, we'll definitely make an announcement about it. And then for Bakeneko, does it have a caps lock LED? The solderable PCB, I believe that has LED spots, but the hot swap one does not. So kind of a mixed bag there. And I think the solderable one, it might not necessarily be a caps lock LED. I think it's just like backlighting. So yeah, so the answer is no, but I think this is definitely something that we can consider adding, similar to, you know, step cap support or something like that. Yeah, I mean, someone mentioned that, like, you know, everyone has their own style of lubing stabs. Yeah, it really is kind of experiment, you know, find out what you think works best for you, and then that's kind of your method.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing Chewwy's method. My method's different, you know. Anna, who's part of Canon Keys, also has a different stab lubing method. So, you know, it's just all about your preference.
Practice a lot.
Oh yeah, practice. Yeah, and the Bakeneko is a great one to kind of practice on too, because it's hot swap. You can kind of take things out,
pop the board out without even unscrewing anything.
Yeah, it's really easy to kind of mod the Bakeneko, which is one of the reasons I really like it, especially as, you know, someone entering the hobby. You get an aluminum board.
Yeah. And even if you're kind of already in, but let's say you bought something else, maybe you bought the glorious 75 one, and you're kind of looking to explore in other things. I don't think the Bakeneko is a step back by any means, just because of the price. the Bakeneko, I have a SAT 75. I use the Bakeneko a lot for testing things too. It's a multi-use tool, right? It's if you already have a lot of these boards that are maybe a little bit more expensive, maybe offer a few extra features that other boards don't, that's fine. But what the Bakeneko allows you to do is easily learn stuff about switches. If you want to try new switches, if you want to try new lubing your stabs in different ways. The Bakeneko is great for basically anyone at any point in the hobby, because that price point is almost impossible to beat for what you get. And for someone who is brand new, it's a great first time experience, and for someone who has been in for a while, it's always nice to have a board you can kind of test things on and all of that. Plus, the other thing is it's very lightweight and it's very tiny. So for someone who is looking for a board, maybe you don't want to travel with your 3.5 pound SAT 75. Maybe you just want to not type on a laptop keyboard, and so you grab the Bakeneko. It already has a carrying case with it. It's small. It's a great option. All right.
A few more questions real quick. Any plans on offering a raw version of the case? Right now we're not planning on it, but this has been a common thing that's come up, so maybe in the future. Any plans to sell the Bakeneko bare bones? Also probably not. That one maybe hasn't come up as much, but we think selling it as a kit makes it easy for folks to kind of just get everything that they need all at once. And then another question about the Bakeneko60 LEDs. Yeah, it has it basically just has white. The stock version has white LED backlights. There's no RGB or anything like that. I mean, it's an aluminum case, so if we put RGB on the bottom, it wouldn't really go anywhere. But you have the white backlights on the 65 version of the hot swap PCB, but the 60% doesn't have it.
So this is the part where we bring the PCB in. We've tested it, and what you're going to do. So you're looking for these holes right here where they have the kind of pairing, and what you're doing is the wire, the one where the clip-in part where the wire is, that's where the larger, you're going to put that in the larger hole, like so. It's a little difficult because it's black on black, but, and then it does take a little bit of force. I like to get my thumb on the kind of in between the two holes and then use my finger to push it in. And then what I like to do after, just make sure they move up and down, so that you can also put it flat against a desk mat. I highly recommend a desk mat when building a keyboard. I mean, you can kind of see this one has seen quite a few builds on it. It's a little messy. Maybe don't have the main one that you use as your day-to-day. Not legitimately not trying to like sell an extra desk mat, but it's good to have a desk mat to build on, right? It's good to have like a workspace desk mat. And I've had multiple desk mats that I used that solders, especially when you're soldering, solder's going to get everywhere, and you don't want that on your nice desk mat. So maybe you have a desk mat that's a little older and you want to use something, maybe you want to get something new, roll that up, keep it aside when you're doing a build. Lube gets on this. I mean, there's like big marks of lube that you can't really see it off camera. Like I've had, lube stains and solder stains and all that crap on this. So very good idea to go ahead and pick up, maybe have an A stock and a B stock desk mat.
You got to protect your desk, right, from all that stuff. So it also kind of gives, like, when you're putting stuff in, a bit of like padding underneath it too. Like, when you're trying to snap these stabs in and you're doing it straight on a desk, like there's something hard underneath it. It might cause damage. So I definitely recommend using a desk mat, or if you don't have a desk mat, then like a towel or something. Just kind of pat it a little bit.
a mouse pad or
A mouse pad.
old
yeah.
mouse pad or towel. So yeah, we got these working. So what we're going to do, test your stabs. So this is how the plate is going to fit, but what we're going to do is starting to get to the fun part. This is kind of the boring part of the build, but now this is where you kind of take it from to the next level. So we're going to slightly place our plate over. We're going to line up the switch, and so highly recommend, this is definitely a part you want to do, and it's a hot swap build. Absolutely lay it flat against something, because these hot swap sockets can pop out. If you want to hold it in your hand, keep a thumb on the back and then press in, because they're not, the strength of the hot swap sockets are not indestructible.
Like a human is stronger than the how the hot swap sockets kind of hang on to the PCB at times. So that's always a great idea to support it from the bottom.
So what I recommend is putting a few switches. So we're going to put in the switches that are stabilized so we can test them, but also put in a couple kind of in the corners, and this will help you in the long run. So if you notice, I'm holding my thumb and kind of pinching my thumb in here. All right, and please do this carefully. But I'm doing this because if I don't do it, you see how the plate just dips down? You don't want that to happen. So we're gonna remove the switch. We're gonna kind of jam our thumb in there. And now we want it to slide right in. You see how now it's not bent down like it is. Another way to fix that, especially if that happens kind of in the middle, and when we're putting in these first sets of switches, all you're doing is helping yourself later, because the more that these switches are in the plate, they kind of clip in to the plate. If you can, come on. You want that flush. You want this to be flush up against the bottom side of this switch. And you can kind of hear it click. So I can kind of unclick it there. I don't recommend doing that part, but that's more for show. You want it flush against the bottom. And the more switches you kind of put in spread out at first, the easier it's going to be, the more you're just making it more sturdy for the rest of the process. So, but now that we're going to put in this corner here. But another good use for tweezers is you can kind of get some tweezers up in there and hold it in place so you can press something down. So, you know, be very careful because you can obviously damage stuff. You're putting tweezers on a PCB. But,
yeah, I would say this is good advice for, you know, a lot of like more flexible plates. So if you have a polycarbonate plate, I know for Bakeneko it comes with FR4. That's all we currently offer. But if you have polycarbonate, if you have a palm plate, like any plastic plate, you're gonna have to hold it up when you put the switches in. If you have a stiffer material like brass or carbon fiber or aluminum, it's still important to do it, but they're not as flexible, so it's not as big of an issue. They typically don't fall as much, but this is definitely a key part of the build experience. You definitely want all your switches to be flush.
Yup. So we are hijacking some caps from the SAT-75 so we can test them. So we're going to place that even. So one thing you're looking for so press it down, does it come up quickly, right? So does it return? That's what's called the switch return. Is it rattling? You can kind of hear for it. There's no rattle in this one. You can kind of listen. You'll hear kind of. I should have left one unlubed, but when you hear it, it's just clean. So, and then the space bar is going to be the trickiest one. as is tradition. So the space bar, it's really hard to tell here, but the space bar is a little sluggish, just a little bit, and that's because this switch is working harder than any other switch on here. It's the heaviest keycap. I mean, we're talking grams, but every gram counts when these. But it's just sluggish enough to make me go, okay, it's just there, but what that means is the stab lube just needs to settle. And this will be better once the stab lube has settled. There's no rattle, although I just ripped the switch out. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like Gatoron switches have pretty nice stems in terms of that frequently happens with me too.
Yep, just switch was like, nope, I'm coming with. We're gonna. Yep, and I just broke that switch. So be warned, that can happen. It's good to show mess ups because I built a lot of keyboards, and so what you want to do, you can get something like this. Actually, I have a green one that works a little bit better, and just pull it right back out. We'll just set this aside. This is a perfect explanation as to why always get a couple extra switches. If you're asking yourself, why do we sell 70 when the keyboard only supports like 62 or something? Switches are not perfect. They are inherently not perfect. You're dealing with tiny pieces of plastic that can break apart. Now, I will tell you, this switch you can put back together. You can, you take the top housing, you take the spring, you take the switch, or the stem. You take this, you make sure that the hole that's here is opposite of the metal leaf, and you just slap it back together, and now it's a fully functioning switch again. So if something does explode, you have extras. Like switches are going to have. I've built over 100 switches, over 100 boards at this point, I believe, and it doesn't matter. Switches are just some are bad. Like not switches are bad, but when they're making 10,000, 100,000 switches, you can't expect every single one to be perfect, and then especially when you have a keycap that you're slapping on, and then and if it's a little thicker, then boom, it's gonna pop out a little bit. But we've got that. We've tested our stabs now. Now we get to the rest of this, which is get your switches out, and you're simply just putting them in. You don't really have to go like in a particular way. I usually just go across the top.
One thing to note too is, it should always feel kind of smooth to put the switches in. If it's not feeling smooth, or you feel kind of like a crunch, it could mean that the pins on the bottom of the switch are bent. And when the pins are bent, when you try to put them in the hot swap socket, they'll bend even more. So that's just one thing to look out for. You want to make sure that your switch pins are straight when you're putting them inside the PCB. And I don't know, Chewwy, maybe there'll be a few that have some bent pins that we can show off later.
Absolutely.
Or maybe we get lucky and none of them have bent
We
pins.
might get lucky. I can bend one for sure.
Few new questions. Will there be a new 75% layout board in the works? We're always working on new boards. So if we don't have a 75% in the works right now, we probably will soon. So there's always different layouts, different form factors of boards coming out. And then, are we ever going to stock plate foam for the Bakeneko? We weren't planning on it, but again, if we hear enough people want it, we will strongly consider it and potentially sell it. So that's that.
Excuse me.
Dude, whenever switches break like that on me when I'm trying to test a stab or something, I don't know how many springs I've lost.
Oh,
like
yeah,
the springs just go flying.
That's why, man, if a switch breaks, like I always buy extra, right? If a switch breaks, whatever, just go to the next one. All right, so here we go. I did it. I felt it. You can can see, wrong way, the spring, the pin just folded in on itself. So what you can do is you can take tweezers, where are they? And you can thread the needle and kind of bend it up. But here's the issue. Hot swap sockets are unforgiving in terms of bent pins. So I was able to get that done. I've also done this quite a bit. It's a little trickier. So this can go in and work, but with a hot swap, honestly, if you bend a pin, it is almost worth just grabbing another one, because a bent pin in a solderable board is very easy to do, because it's just a much bigger gap. These have to slide into a perfect spot. The other thing that is worth noting, it is not recommended using pre-soldered switches in a hot swap build. So let's say your buddy, if you're new to this and your buddy hands you some switches and says, oh, this is from an old build, you know, ask him if it was desoldered, because if there's solder on there, that can cause a lot of issues in terms of the switch's usability. Is it possible? Yes, but it's more trouble than it's worth, and you might want to just grab some new switches for it. So, and you can see like this one, I mean, they're shipped in a bag. It would be difficult and really expensive and pretty wasteful to use anything else, but even then, that bent pin just needs to be pushed up a little bit and boom, now it's great. It's not ruined, but just check them, you know.
Yeah, I find too that like if you catch the bent pin, it's like, you know, usually when they come from in the bag, they're maybe slightly bent, but once you try to put it in a hot swap socket and you hear that crunch, it's like even more bent. That's the point where I'm kind of like, all right, I'm gonna save this one for a solderable build.
Yeah.
But if you catch it before, if it's, you know, slightly bent out of the bag, and you bend it back straight, it usually works in a hot swap build.
So, and then as we kind of wrap up this part, the first thing we're going to do after is we're looking at the plate. And we're going to make sure that the plate is as even as possible across the switches. So we got everything in. Come on. There we go. We got everything in. Everything looks good. We're looking at how straight it is. Looks pretty parallel. I think this one maybe needs to come up just a little bit, but looks pretty parallel. The stabs, if it looks a little off, there's some wiggle. There's going to be a little wiggle there. So as you kind of take it, we're making sure everything's even, everything's flush. Another thing you can always do, place it down upside down, apply some pressure. That might fix any of these issues. All right, so we've got this part, hardest part. Well, first, before we do the O-ring, we're gonna test it one more time. This one's a lot faster.
Because you got switches in this time. You just press the switches to test.
You just run your finger along the line. So again, equal pressure, slide it in. I did tell Upas, I was like, I have a backup in case I screw this PCB up. Equal pressure. Come on. There we go. Nice. In. And we will switch back to our main screen. On here, just hit clear reload right here. You can use VIA, but I'll explain the first dip into VIA. And so it will load, and here it is, right? And so this should correspond with what you're hitting. There is a key tester in here. The reason I don't prefer to use this is when I hit Windows and VIA, it opens up actually Windows. When I hit Windows and EK, it doesn't. Do what you will with that information, but that's, so we're opening up here. We hit our escape key. It's escape key. And what we're looking for is green. So you can literally just swipe your fingers across if you want to, especially in EK. It's not like you're typing anything. And then we have our menu. So when we press menu 1, you see now we're on the function key. And now we get the access to our function row, or F row, if you will. So everything looks good. Got our the tilde, I believe, is the function key. So when you hold it down, this tilde is where the escape is. So I can go back.
And if a switch isn't working, a lot of the times with hot swap builds, it's because you have a bent pin. Some switches, like the pins on the switches, are a little thin, so you might have to flip the board over, like Chewwy has right here, and kind of poke the pin closer into the hot swap socket with some tweezers, and it'll work. But those are some of the common reasons why we see hot swap builds not working.
Yeah. Another way you can tell if a switch isn't all the way in, these center poles, if you see one that's not poking all the way up, just give it a push. And yeah, again, just take the switch out, maybe swap it for another one. Look, so this was a pack of 70. We had one that messed up that we didn't use. And for the hot swap build, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extra, so 8, 9 extra. So there are extras. Don't be, I just word vomit. Don't be the person freaking out because you have to get a couple extra switches. It's good to have these, because not only that, sometimes switches have issues later down the road. Throw these in a bag. You can use perfect example. And what I'm going to do for whoever wins this keyboard, which yes, we are giving away this keyboard. I will hold on to the broken one because 1, I like to keep 1 switch from every build, but 2, it was a broken one. Boom, you have a switch bag. Now you have a spare bag. And you just throw that in your case. So this is the other tricky part of this. We have our gasket O-ring. All right. So the best way, and firstly, kind of run your hand along it. Sometimes they'll have little notches. Best to keep those away from the corners. So we're going to what you're doing is aligning it on the inside. Come on, stop it. I'm about to just move this out of the way. So we're just placing it in. And we're not pulling super duper tight, not yet. And once we get it down, just go corner to corner. And so once we have it on, it's a little snug, and over here you don't have a whole lot. So what we're going to do is so there's little notches in the PCB right here, and that's going to be for the case, but it's also great to use because you can actually grab this. And we're just going to kind of redistribute the tension of this around the board. And you'll feel it. If it's super tight on one side, run your finger along, go up to a corner, and you'll feel which way is too tight. Don't pull too hard, but you don't have to be like the most careful with this. But what you want this to do is just have that even tension around, because it's supposed to poke out just enough. Just a little bit. So if when using the stab, there is going to be a little bump here, but that's no problem at all. So what we're going to do now, we're going to remove our JST connector. Come on. Set that aside. And we're done with this for right this second. We're going to set this aside. And we're going to pull out our board. So, and this part's a little annoying, like, no joke, dealing with small screws.
Yeah.
So, going to use a screwdriver, and we're going to get, so we have these 4 little screws of the Allen key. You can use the Allen key. I've got a screwdriver set. Just so you know, for the sake of the build, I'll use the Allen key, at least on one of them. So, but what we're doing, you lay it down. You want this metal piece facing the hole on the outside, and these 2 components need to be facing up. Line them up. My recommendation, get it started a little bit, and then get the corner, the caddy corner, the opposite corner started. And now you can just put the rest in.
Yeah, I wouldn't tighten them all the way at first. You know, you want to get all the screws in first, and then you can go back and tighten them later.
Once we get these screwed in, you don't need to tighten them super duper tight. Basically, the second you start feeling tension, you're done. You don't need to. It's going to align as such. Come on, fix my hand. Lines up pretty nice, pretty solid. So now we can plug that in. Then what we're going to do, again, even pressure, a bit difficult here. Making sure this is aligned properly.
And sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually plug the cable into the Daughterboard and then screw it in.
You can do that too, 100%. But it's a little tricky. You just got to get your fingers. I got big fat fingers, so it's if you have smaller fingers than me, then you're golden. You're perfect. And this is going to kind of sit routed. But so now what we're going to do. So how I like to do this is kind of hold it like so, like you would, like it's going to. So space bar is going to be at the bottom. This is the top of the board. Just flip it like this, just like you're opening up a sandwich. Can you tell I'm hungry? And then equal pressure. A little tricky, but just be patient. You can ruin the whole build right here. So how I like to do this. You want these notches on the PCB right here. You can kind of see these little notches. These are going to be going where this part of the case is, right? So how I like to do this, you're being very careful because the wire's attached, is we're going to put the top in to where it kind of rests, where part of it's not in yet, and then we're going to just use a couple of your fingers and just apply pressure, and it will slide into place. If you would like me to do that again, let me know. But that is how I have found it is the easiest to get that in there. The best way I have found to remove it is use a switch or use a set of tweezers. Literally use the cannon to your advantage, and you can just pull up different sides. Do it slowly, a little bit at a time, and boom. And again, be careful. Don't yank. I've seen people and heard of people just pulling the PCB out, and then they rip this tan plastic piece off the Daughterboard, and boom, now they can't use the board. So again,
Static agent that he definitely did that. I have definitely done that in the past.
Yeah.
It's very easy to forget, but important not to.
Yep. So we're placing it, and you can kind of feel where the piece. So what these little not standoffs, but just little metal mounts. That's going to sit. That's where the plate is going to rest on, and you can kind of feel where that is. So just set that down. Equal pressure. Slide down. Boom. Keyboard. So now, the best part. We get to put keycaps on this and plug it in and use it like an actual keyboard. So today we have PBT Pelo, designed by an amazing keycap designer, Anna. And this is the key set we chose to go with this. And ironically, this is the only tray you need. Now you don't have to use these. There are the other controls and functions, but you know, this whole set is excellent with how colorful it is. And so all you're doing is just pressing down.
And I definitely recommend doing this part without plugging the keyboard in.
Yes. You will send people very confusing messages.
Yep.
And we're just pressing it in. You can just go across the top. I'll talk about the bottom row, because the bottom row can get a little tricky, especially when you start getting different keyboards. This 60% layout is called the ANSI or ANSI layout. It is standard. It is basically if you chop the F row and the navigation cluster off of a TKL, this is what you're going to see. There are many different layouts to the 60%. Sometimes they can be a little stubborn getting on there, but with these stabilized keys, it's best to use 2 fingers when they're not just immediately going on. So
oh, there's a question. Any Brutalist V2 updates? I guess yes. So actually, I think that the Korea meetup was today, and someone was able to bring in a Brutal of 65 V2 there. So I think some folks got a chance to try it. But we are going to be selling it as an in-stock drop. We don't have an ETA yet, but yes, I guess that's an update, right?
Yep.
I don't know if we announced that was going to be in stock, but it will. We're going to sell it as an in-stock keyboard. So very, very exciting. The 65 is going to be first, but we're doing other layouts just like with the Brutalist V1. So yeah, that's where we're at with that.
So just getting the rest on, and then I will go into VIA and we'll discuss how to get comfortable there. Got a nice big green pillow cap.
Yeah, the solder PCB for Bakeneko does support 7U. So if you wanted a 7U on a Bakeneko, you'd have to get the solder PCB.
And that is what my Bakeneko is, soldered PCB. I wasn't a huge fan of the FR4 plates at first, but I've grown to love them more and more the more that I use them. I think, honestly, PBT caps are what make it. Because for those who don't know, this is a PBT set. This is nice PBT pillow. PBT is darker sounding than GMK. While it might not have the reputation that GMK has, it definitely has, like PBT has some really awesome sounding keycaps. And some plates will make a keyboard sound very bright, seem very like high pitched. And PBT darkens that up a lot. And that's something that I absolutely love about PBT. So when you pair that with maybe a plate that feels really good, but maybe doesn't sound as amazing as you're used to, PBT can kind of make that darker. But there we go. And that is a keyboard from start to finish. And this can be yours in just a few minutes. I think I have everything set up perfectly, but yeah, this is the Mizu Minx. I can do a little typing test. It feels good. Pelo looks really good with this white case. Like really good. I put mine on a polycarb case, but I like this a lot, this look. Will all future streams stay on YouTube? Probably. We have no intent. I mean, this is like a tester. We don't even know. Upas and I haven't discussed past this one. We were kind of, you know, I brought up the idea. Yeah, I brought up the idea, and I was like, "Hey, let's try it. If it doesn't work, whatever. You know, we lose a couple hours on a Saturday and move on." But if you guys please in the Discord, let us know if you want us to keep doing stuff like this, because. You know, I'm here. I'm working for the boss man right there. So if you guys want more of this, I am happy to keep doing this. But yeah,
for coming and hanging with us. Like it's been a fun.
So I'm going to do a quick little typing test, as we usually do typing tests, just so you can kind of hear how it sounds. It's gonna sound different in person, but just a heads up there. But I think this sounds really, really clean. So I'm going to be muting Upas and the music, so you can turn your audio up, and then I will wait just a sec. I'll give you a thumbs up. I'll give you a thumbs up when to turn your audio up, and a thumbs down when to turn it down, before I come back in. So Chewwy getting that overtime. Yep. So here we go. There we go. Sounds good. A PBT, man. PBT sounds just super chill. I'm also aware that I don't think you could have heard that. So.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah,
I couldn't. But I know how a Bakeneko sounds.
Yeah,
we tested it out a bunch before selling them. So.
So yeah, let me give me just a moment and let me get.
While Chewwy's getting set up, the switches did not come pre-lubed, so those are stock switches. Those are not lubed switches that you heard it with. Mm-hmm. But the stabs were lubed, which again I think is the most important thing you can do for your keyboard build.
Oh no, sitting here trying to type on a board that is not plugged in. Just a heads up, your keyboard will not work if it is not plugged in. All right, so we are going to, let me make sure this works. All right, so I might have to change the word in case this doesn't work, but go ahead to enter the giveaway. We'll ship it wherever. It will ship out Tuesday, as it's a holiday weekend here in the States. But exclamation point Kobe, Kobe, exclamation point Kobe, if you want to enter to win this keyboard. I will send you this board in its case. You'll get the rest of the caps. You'll get all but one of the switches. It will not come with a USB cable. That's the only thing you would need to provide yourself. But the build will be completed. And yeah. This was just something when I brought up this first, I was like, well, the first one, I don't think we're going to be giving away every board that we build on here, but on the first one, we wanted to start off. So exclamation point Kobe. Let me make sure. Okay, it is not. Why is it not?
think while Chewwy's figuring out what's going on here, we do sell lube. We sell lube on our site. I think we're currently out of stock of Krytox 205 grade 0, but we're restocking soon. So that should get back in stock probably within the month or so. I mean, not by the end of May, because that's like 3 days from now, but within like the next 30 days, I'm hoping we can have some Krytox restocked. But we do have Tribosys 3204 in. So if you want some of that, we got it. This is the whitish colorway. So
Yes.
it is our newer powder coated version.
All right. Try no exclamation point. Just try the word Kobe. Kobe, all lowercase. Apologies. We will probably, if we do another giveaway, I'll set up marbles, but that's a whole other thing. So just Kobe, no exclamation point. We're trying that. Apologies for this. It's a little hard to test out giveaways.
Oh man, I was wrong. Krytox is in stock apparently. Let me.
Oh, nice.
I think we might have restocked on Friday. Whatever we had left. We're getting a larger restock later if we do go out of stock. Double check. Yeah, we do have Krytox. So thank you, chat, for calling me on that.
Refresh this. Apologies, chat. This is taking a moment. It's just not pulling. Apologies for this. Again, let's see. I've done this before exactly like this, but I don't know why it is. Let me dashboard. This is just very strange.
Chewwy, while you try to figure out the
I've got to
the
figure.
raffle.
All right, I think I just figured it out. Sorry.
Oh hell yeah!
It's gonna
So,
take like 2 seconds for me to set this up, but I figured out what the issue is. So what were you gonna say though? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm just gonna copy paste names and we can like raffle it off manually if we have to.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can get the thing working.
I've got. I just figured it out. I gotta add Mr. Nightbot as a moderator. And save and
Who's that I hear?
That's Finn. He's just excited. He's just happy to be here. Alright, let's try. I'm wondering if because this wasn't done before the stream started, that it's not updating. All right. Well, we can do a choose a number between 1 and 100. So here, why don't we do this? Upas, you send me the number. Apologies, we're going to be doing this. We will work on this. This is, something that we need to work towards. Upas, you send me a number, and then you guys start. Sending numbers, and the first one to guess it will get the board. So,
All right, I sent the number over.
There it is. The number has been sent. Guess a number between 1 and 100, and the first person to guess it will get the board. I'm like trying to read as fast as possible.
Haven't seen it yet.
Oh, there it is. Nope, that's it. Nope. I thought it was.
Well, I'm surprised no one's gotten it yet. We've gotten close.
Very close. Oh, there it is.
I think we got
We got it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced this. Zhang Zhang Lu. I believe.
That was the first person to say it. That is correct.
Yes. Zhang Zhang Lu. And the delay is hilarious because the numbers just keep strolling in. I will work on the delay as well. While this is our first one of these, this is also a big learning experience for both of us. So, Zhang Zhang Lu, reach out to me in the Canon Keys Discord and send me a picture of like proof that this is your YouTube account. And we will get together with you. The number was 57. So the number was 57. Someone else, Gavin Mounsey, guessed it right after. So, but we will reach out to me in Canon Keys with proof that that is you. And we will we'll reach out. But thank you guys very, very much. If you guys please go to Discord. You can let people know, let us know in the Discord if you like this, if you want to see more of this. We will absolutely do this. What's your name in the Discord? Chewwy. So it should be towards the top. Chewwy. So it should have been 60. That would have been too easy though. That's like the low-hanging fruit. But thank you guys again. Please let us know in the Discord. You can at me if you want at Chewwy to let me know good, bad, horrible, amazing. I don't care. I want to know all the feedback so I can come back to Andrew and we can discuss about future plans. Yeah, and it's on the top right. It will say. It should say Canon Keys. I'm currently on right now. So. But yeah, thank you very, very much. We're going to wrap up the stream, and you guys have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.